wisdom, her love for the craft, and her genius imagination. Today, we're going to go on a journey inside her career. How did she go from a very humble beginning, and I have to say a very resistant young lady, she did not want to go into hairdressing, to being a world-class hairdresser? We're then going to go into her editorial work and explore the creativity, because there's something magical about when you see an end result. But what lies behind that end result is where we're going to explore today with some very special guests. We're then going to show you a hair demonstration. Anna is going to teach me. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to do an editorial look that's more on the edgy side, and then something super commercial, but very high fashion, so that you can recreate that look in your salon. And last but not least, we're going inside the artist's mind. We're going to explore, how does Anna navigate between being a mother, a salon owner, a creative, stage, platform, all the different venues where she is? How does she do that? So I'm thrilled that we're going to have this magical time with Anna. So let's bring her on. Hi, Anna, welcome.
Hi, Vivian. Thank you so much. I am so honored, to be here with you. I was absolutely thrilled when you asked me. And I have to say, I didn't sleep a couple of nights because of this. You are, of course, one of the people that I so admire. And, I've been following your career for a very long time. So again, it is indeed an honor.
Thank you, Anna. And the feeling is so mutual. So let's tell everybody where you're actually located on the planet.
So I am in Montreal, Canada.
And would you like to say hello to your French and Italian friends?
Absolutely. Bonjour tout le monde du Québec. And buongiorno, buonasera a tutti I miei amici italiani. Ciao.
You sound so sexy when you speak those languages. It's amazing.
Well, the British accent certainly sounds sexy to me. So there you go.
So let's get into your career. We have a very special guest who's going to be joining us. James is going to be joining us in a moment. But before we bring in James, let's just kind of dive into the very beginning. I know your father was a hairdresser, and I know from your bio that you were somewhat resistant to actually wanting to be a hairdresser. So how did it all begin?
My dad was actually a barber. And every Saturday, we found a way to go to one of his barbershops. And eventually, he opened up his first salon for women. Contrary to most parents, my dad didn't want me to pursue my studies. He wanted me to take on the family business. And, we're two girls. I have a sister. And basically, he always considered me, and I don't want to say this in a weird way, his boy. I was the eldest, and he has been quite successful. I think more successful as a businessman than as a barber, but he was an excellent barber as well. And he wanted me to be involved. And, throughout my life, my young life, he always said, hairdressing is amazing. You could make an excellent living at this. And I always said, no way, Daddy. I'm going to school. I do well in school, and you're not going to get me. But in the end, he did, didn't he?
So now moving forward, did your father actually train you to be the hairdresser in your foundational training?
Of course, I watched them so often. And at the age, I'll tell you, at the age of 11, 12, my dad used to take me to one of his barbershops. And he would give me, at the beginning, a nickel every time I would sweep the floor. And it was up to me, right? He goes, do you want to participate, Anna? He goes, I'll give you a nickel every time you sweep the floor, in the barbershop. And, he had the cleanest barbershop in town, because I would get on that broom and sweep every time there was 2 hairs on the floor. And of course I would watch, but with zero interest, I was fascinated. I'll tell you, one of the sounds, 2 sounds that, I adore to hear are the scissor over comb, I love that sound, and the clicking of a camera. Those are 2 sounds that really make me happy. So I remember I was fascinated by the speed in which all of his barbers would work, and that sound I can still hear vividly in my head, but no, I was not trained by my dad.
So did your father actually create the Salon Pure group, or did you move on from your father's business and create your own brand?
No, not the Pure group. At one point, I'll tell you, at the biggest number of salons that my dad co-owned with partners, because every salon that we own and owned all through my dad's career, he had an operating partner in each salon, sometimes even two partners in each salon, and in some cases even 3 partners, depending on the amount of money that they were willing to put in the business. He had, at the highest point in his career, about 50 salons in the Montreal area.
Wow.
And from then, of course, we learned how to make business more effective, efficient. And right now, the group owns about 28 salons. The Pure Group is something that I created with my partner, Danielle Benoit, who is my partner at Pure Downtown. And it is the first salon that we actually opened in the core of downtown Montreal. All of my father's shops, for some reason, although we always lived in the city, were all outside the Montreal area, all in Quebec, but all outside, most of which were in shopping malls. And I am the first who opened a salon in the core of downtown Montreal with my partner, Danielle Benoit.
And is your Pure Academy in Montreal as well?
Yes, now Pure Academy now has become, we are together with another group, Tornade Pure. So Pure has merged with the Tornade group. And the Advanced Academy is right in Pure.
Wow. Wow, excellent. So in my introduction to you, obviously I didn't speak about the depth and breadth of your career, but you obviously went from building your salon brand, but you have another career as well, which has been your editorial work, working for product companies. You have an incredible career traveling around the world and standing on stage. So I suppose my question to you is that how did you transition from salon life and being a salon owner and going into platform work and the editorial part of your career?
I decided that I needed to do something to make my career a little more exciting. And I kept going to, many hair shows. And what really intrigued me was hair competition. So after having my first child, I decided to give it a go. And lo and behold, my very first competition, because I had disqualification points for something or other, I still came in 4th. And the first thing I said, what do you mean 4th? I go, that's amazing. How can I come in 4th when I always thought I was a lousy hairdresser and only doing it just because I had to? And so I went to the judges and I said, hey, I came in 4th. And they said, yeah. I said, I'm not complaining. I just give me pointers onto, how I can do better and when is the next competition? When is the closest next competition? And they said, well, there's exactly this type of competition, which was ladies cut and blow dry, in New York City in 2 weeks. So I had been training, for 2 months for this competition. And I said, okay, good. All you need to do is find yourself another model, because I had cut all of my model's hair off, for this competition. And he just told me, one particular judge said, if you don't want to lose any marks, make sure that the collar doesn't hide your nape when she's sitting there for us to judge her, because that's how you lost all of your points. And so 2 weeks later, I was at Javits Center in New York City, that I'm sure you know. And there were 85 competitors, more or less, from all over North America. And lo and behold, I won gold. I won. I won. So I became this frantic, crazy person looking out for any competition, especially hands-on competition, because I didn't know anything about image competition. And, following that, that's when brands approach you to represent them. And that's how it all started.
Well, that's beautiful. And I'm sure, I know many hairdressers who've had a competition background really are quite extraordinary because of the discipline. And for younger folks listening, to hear you speak about practicing for 2 months on a particular hairstyle is beyond most people's imagination. And the discipline that I think competition work gives you is again, pretty extraordinary. And the other aspect of that is that you put yourself into the public eye in a bigger way. So therefore, you really are exposing yourself to something quite extraordinary. We've got James here, who I'd love to bring into the feed, because James is a partner in crime, isn't he? You guys have worked together a lot. Hi, James. Welcome.
Hi, Vivian. Hi, my friend Anna. How are you?
Hi, James.
So James is coming to us from Vancouver. James is an accomplished, wonderful hairdresser, and you've been working together for a while, haven't you, through Davines, correct?
Yeah, we've been together now, I think, 5 years. And then, of course, Michael is involved in that. We have Three Stooges. Maybe Anna will share the photo of us together. It's a nice one. But yeah, we've been with Davines for about 5 years now. And I mean, just a little thing about Anna is, when I was a young hairdresser, I followed her career, a Canadian, rising to the top, and not only just a Canadian, but a female hairdresser rising to the top, which is predominantly male hairdressers that you see on the main stage or getting most of the credits. And I followed her career, and she inspired me to get into photographic competition. And I finally met her for the first time in 2013. And I think, we became friends immediately, whether she knew it or not. But it's been amazing to have her as a friend and as well as a mentor.
So James, I know you have a question you'd like to ask Anna.
Anna, I think that like I mentioned before, in an industry that typically you see men rising to the top and not enough recognition for women, it inspires me to see what you've accomplished. And I'd love to, hear what you have to say to the younger generation. But, foremost, the women in the industry who are looking to grow and become as successful as you. So it's kind of a two-part question is, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you've confronted being a female in the hairdressing industry, and how did you overcome them and smash those barriers?
Well, that's an interesting question, James, because you would think that coming from an Italian, European background, I had pretty strict upbringing, right? But one thing that my dad never made me feel is that I didn't even realize that it was harder for women to succeed in life. He never made me feel that way. He always had, and he still does, many male partners. And right from the get-go, I was one of the boys. So it's much later in life that I realized that there is a difference between what needs to be done to go forward in life as a woman. And it's much later in life that I realized that, yes, there are many obstacles, and yes, you do have to work that much harder being a woman in this industry. But certainly not at the beginning of my career. I had one of my employees once said to me, one of my colleagues once said to me, he goes, Anna, you're the first woman boss that I don't dislike. And I said, what? What are you saying? Why are you saying that? He goes, because, and I don't know if I could say this on live TV, because you're not a bitch. And I said, what? I said, oh, okay, why? He goes, because a lot of the bosses, female bosses I've had in the past, he goes, need to be bitchy to get their point across. And I said, no, I don't think that's necessary. I never had to do that before, so I'm not going to start now. So I think there's a way of getting your point across and being firm and direct without being nasty. And I think most successful women, at least the ones I know, do it in that way, by showing their potential and leading by example. And I think kindness gets you so much further and opens up so many more doors than than nastiness.
So I appreciate you guys having me on, and I appreciate being able to talk with both of you.
How do you balance all of those juggling hats? Because many hairdressers want to do it all, but it's not easy to be good at doing them all. So how do you juggle it all together?
I think it comes down to, I mean, one thing that I believe is that anything you want in life, you can have, but it's going to come with an equal or greater sacrifice of something else. And once you realize what that sacrifice is, you have to make that decision, take it or leave it. So do I believe that there's such thing as a work-life balance? No. But do I believe that there is such thing as work-life harmony? 100%. And that's what I try and do, is just create harmony between the two of them. So, you know, when I was younger, I had a saying, you know, work hard, play hard. Now that I've got a family with 2 young kids, my motto is work hard, family hard. And so when I'm at work, I'm 100% there. And when I'm with my family, there's no other distractions that are going to stop that relationship or stop that bond from forming.
James was asking about some of the lessons along the way that have made you who you are today. So if you could think back through your career and go, wow, that was a milestone and that changed my course of my career, what would that be for you?
What works for me that has an even stronger impact is failure. When I fail, it projects me to the next level in such a fast-paced way. So I remember, and I have a photo of that, I should have sent it to you, the following year after winning a gold, I came in 10th in a provincial competition, and I was totally devastated. And what I thought was, wow, the gold medal was a fluke. I'm a fluke. People are going to find out that it was just luck. And what happened after failing so harshly in a provincial competition is that is never, ever going to happen to me again. And it was a life lesson that I remember as though it were yesterday.
And the other aspect of that too is that the people you surround yourself with, because I think that, yes, failure is a great teacher. I agree with you. And I also think that sometimes, you know, are we driven by disappointment? It didn't work, so we try harder. Or are we driven by the joy of what we do? And I relate, Anna, to everything you said, because I know that I've seen myself where it's not been good enough and I'm driven. And then I have to ask myself, am I attracting those things into my life to therefore be behaving that way? Does that make sense to you?
100%. I know exactly what you're saying.
So sometimes I have to, Anna, do a check with myself and say, whoa, let's put the joy and the beauty in it. And that's where team becomes important, isn't it? And I know you have an amazing group of people around you. We saw James today, and Michael's going to be coming in as a guest to talk to us. So selecting who you play with, I think, is so important. Do they lift you up? Do they light your flame, or are they a wet blanket on your flame? You know, and I think that's really important. So having that discernment, like obviously owning your company, you can choose who you play with.
Cynthia, tout de suite. This is Marie-Josée, and this is Cynthia.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vivian. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Tell me what's important within your culture. What does your culture stand for? And when you're looking to hire somebody, what are the qualities you're looking for in order to live up to the Anna standard and everything that you've achieved in your life? What does that look like?
When we decided to open Pure, we were astonished to see how many people wanted to join us. And we got to pick who joined our team. And you know, today that's what we do. And it's a contagious feeling, right? Because you have one member of, you know, Pure that is doing really, really well, and everybody else wants to be like that person. We have one person winning awards or competing, and it doesn't mean that everybody else wants to compete and get to that level, but certainly even if they don't compete, they want to be just as good. So there's this beautiful vibe, you know, of you know, we pretty much want to do like whoever is working next to us, and want to prove to them and to ourselves that we certainly can do our part to shine in whichever way we can.
Well, winning the North American Hairdressing Awards 4 times with your team says an awful lot.
Yeah, you know, Vivian, I'm going to say this because, like I said, we have about 17 Nahas.
Wow, that's amazing.
About 17 Nahas. So it's almost like, it feels like tooting your own horn, but it's I didn't win all of those awards. You know, different people that came to Pure and other salons that are part of our group won those awards. And like I said before, it's a contagious disease, if you will. It's a chronic disease. But it, you know, it just, when there's something so outrageous as a candy that is the target, the whole journey makes it so that everybody works in an extremely good way.
I think the message for everybody today is that obviously having a great foundation in your craft is critical. But for you, when you did all the competition work, it gave you that wonderful foundation. And from there, the competitions and that thriving to be the best and competing against yourself and being the best version of yourself then opened the doors to incredible opportunities to work with major brands in the world, to travel the world, to have opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily get in a small salon that was not doing these things. So the foundation of the competition was a springboard. That's what I'm hearing, to actually take you somewhere else. And therefore the law of attraction, you're raising your bar all the time, and therefore you get amazing people. So what an amazing experience you've had. We're going to continue with this journey, and in our next episode we're going to be looking at Anna's work, and we're going to be exploring how she thinks in order to create. So we hope you'll join us for the next episode of Hair Heroes.